The Utah Mammoth is sorta proud to present Nashcast.
What the is a Nashcast?
Nashcast, the only hockey show on the planet. Hosted by a human speed bag, fourth line wannabe, healthy scratch, schnozzy moto, Tyson Nash.
Who the hell is Tyson Nash?
Never heard of him.
And the baritone with a brain, the velvet hammer, Mr. Silky, Tono Suave, the radio voice of your Utah Mammoth,
Code Blue!
Mike Folta.
Oh, Captain, my Captain!
Nashcast begins now.
Ready for takeoff.
Here's Tyler Ganoush and Mickey Foghorn. Wait, what? Oh, here's Tyson Nash and Mike Folta.
Folks, we are back. Another edition coming up. Do we have a guest for you? I know. Captain, my captain, right? I'm like Gilligan over here, right? It's like the waves are ocean. Like a little change of scenery. I'm up here in Kelowna, God's country, up in Canada. I happen to be building a house up here, and what a train wreck, folks, it has been. I came here to kick some ass. I should throw my my helmet on and my jersey and my tie down right now because heads are going to roll. It has been an absolute nightmare. So me and Mama are here in Kelowna, and we're going to make things right here, buddy.
I'm surprised the boat is on the lift because I would have thought you're shipwrecked with the way you look. You got the glasses, you got the
disheveled
suntan, the hair's everywhere. Like you got the Loch Ness Monster behind you. It looks like a great spot. It looks like an unbelievable spot. You don't turn your camera around. You turned it around earlier before we started recording. It looked like a World War I battlefield or something.
Yeah,
but,
I look like a homeless man here. I'm sleeping in a tent in my house that was supposed to be done 6 months ago. So hair is literally on sideways. I'm going to do the chin strap up for this broadcast.
Straight from the set of Castaway.
Yes, yes.
You and Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah, the eyes are tired, so the glasses are gonna stay on. They barely fit my nose, but Foltz, what's new with you, buddy? What's going on?
Just getting in trouble. Some more golf. Shocker. It was actually in the University of Utah's the Eccles School of Business golf tournament. Awesome spot. Hidden Valley Country Club was playing with Jay Stevens, who covers the Utah Mammoth for KSL and does a good job. He's been in the area a long time. Former e-bug, as I'm sure he'll tell you. But we were hacking it up. We were like +6 as a foursome. That's atrocious. That's atrocious. I was the best player of this group, and that's saying something. The only birdie we had, I chipped in on 17, and that was it. So
yeah. Besides the birds chirping in the trees, the only birdies you saw, hey,
yeah, we hit a goose, but that was all after this last week, Mammoth Week, making the tour around the state. And we met, thousands of Mammoth fans across seven different stops, had fun with the rest of the broadcast team at these stops. And wow, I mean, just what a showing by each of these different communities, and a really fun event that was put on by the team. And that's why we do it, Tyson. That's why we love telling stories, and that's why we love the broadcasting side of it, because we get to see the impact that it has with families and people who love the game, and we got to see some of the fruit of that this last week at Mammoth Week.
Well, and again, right, this is a thing, an initiative that's been around the National Hockey League as long as the National Hockey League's been around, right? When you come to a new city, you got to spread the love, and that's what Ryan and Ashley Smith wanted out of their group, out of their leaders in the community, right? It starts at the grassroots level. It starts with the little kids. It really does. It started there for me. I'm sure it started there for you. I know you've been in broadcasting a long time, but you fall in love with the game, but you also fall in love with the people in the game and the players. And it doesn't take a lot. We've talked about this on a number of our shows, folks, is that it's a handshake. It's a high five, right? It's an autograph. It's just taking a little bit of time out of your day. And when you do, I'm telling you, again, I was not a good hockey player. You know that. My stats reflect that. But I spent time with the fans because I wanted to, first of all, but it was also part of my job, right? And it's part of my fabric, and it goes a long way. All of a sudden, that little kid that you spent 5 minutes with is tugging on his dad's shirt going, hey, I want a Nash jersey. I want a Mike Folta jersey, right? And it's hard to believe that people would spend money on our jerseys, but they have in the past. They do. And I'll tell you what, it is so much fun.
That little kid that's tugging on his dad's jersey, it's the same one that you checked into the wall at Cottonwood Heights. Like when you're, how much fun was that? We were at Cottonwood Heights this last week, and you were coaching a clinic on body checking. And most of these kids were like in high school, kind of just getting to that level where you can start throwing your weight around a little bit. And you were coaching up a storm out there. You had kids puking on the ice. Like this was a legitimate.
Well, you shouldn't have Chipotle before you come to a hitting clinic or any practice for that matter. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but or sharpest tool in the shed, but I know that much, Foltz. But you're right. I loved it because that was my favorite part of the game. I didn't score a lot, but I hit a lot, and it is a skill. Some people will say it's not, but it is a skill. Receiving and giving a hit is very much a skill. And I think the kids had a ton of fun. And I missed it. I missed getting on the ice, coaching, doing a little one-on-one clinics. You were great. I know any chance you could, you were making fun of me with that camera, but it was a great time. And again, all over the place, right? And how about most recently, Foltz? How about Clayton Keller coming out and finally, and I've been following this team for a long time. I know they're an expansion team, basically, is what it comes down to. But these players were in Arizona, and they had carte blanche. They had no pressure. Now there's pressure, right? And I think it started in the summer with Bill Armstrong, Andre Tourigny. They talked about it, and now the captain has put it, right? He's drawn a line in the sand and says, if we don't make the playoffs, this will be a failure of a year. Not sure what his exact words are, but along those lines, and I agree. And it is about time because these players have been together for a long time. They've been building this for a long time. Bill Armstrong has added some key pieces to this team now. So there is no more reasoning why they shouldn't be in the playoffs.
Well, and you did get his quotes right. And we do actually have the video clip. So let's run that now if we can of Clayton Keller down in St. George at Mammoth Week, last stop of the tour, I believe, and basically came out and said, it's playoffs or bust this year.
There's a ton of belief, and I think it's that or it's a failure for us this year. Honestly, I think everyone's at a certain age, like I said, and our group's been together. We believe in one another, and we're a very close group. And now it's just a matter of not talking about it and going out there and actually doing it. So that's what we're all looking forward to the most.
Nasher, what I think is interesting about the comments is they are definitely in line with what we've heard from Bill Armstrong and Bear dating back to our draft show and interviews this past summer. But also think about, you've got Clayton Keller, who was coming off that World Championships win with Logan Cooley with Team USA this past summer. So they got like their first taste of winning something in postseason or tournament style play in a long time, probably since they were kids, right? They go out and they win for Team USA and World Championships. And is it the Olympics? No, not necessarily, but it's still a gold medal in your trophy case. And now is the time where Keller, who was captaining that American team, can be the captain of a team that is going to make the playoffs, or at least is setting that goal. They're planting their flag in the ground, saying our goal is to be in the top half of the Western Conference by the end of 82 regular season games.
Well, here's what I'll say about that. I know you know how I feel. And listen, winning is winning, right? I don't care where you're at, what platform you're at, but I hold zero stock in the championships that Clayton Keller and Logan Cooley won. I'm sorry. I love it. I think it's great for them. But I honestly think, Foltz, I think they were pissed off that they were there. I think they were upset more that their team that has taken massive steps wasn't in the playoffs, because they're sitting back. Yeah, they're in the World Championships, but they're still watching back home all the playoff games, right? That's where you want to be as a player. I'm sorry, unless it's the Olympics or now for me, the Four Nations, World Champions. I was invited to the World Champions. I mean, so that tells you that when you're out of the playoffs as a regular season team, those are the players you get to pick from, and those are the players that go over, right? And it was great. They played unbelievable, which you love to see. They rose to another level, but I think they were really upset still about not being in the playoffs. And that is the mission. That is the goal. And anything other than that will be a failure. And I think this is the next step that we've all been waiting for.
And my last thoughts on Keller's comments, Tyson, you look at the guys that Armstrong brought in with the Coyotes, the older guys. A lot of those older guys were maybe bad contracts who or they were good leaders in the room. They were good examples, good culture guys. Well, now Armstrong is bringing in these more veteran players, but they can also play. Like Nate Schmidt is going to be like an impactful piece. He can play on the back end. The same with Ian Cole, Oli Mata, guys who all got contract extensions. Like, yeah, they're veteran players, but this team is trying to win now. And yes, do you need to have the culture piece in the room? But these guys got to be able to get teams to postseasons, which those guys that I mentioned between Mata, Cole, and Schmidt, those guys have all had postseason success. So I think it's pretty telling the moves that have been being made.
Yeah, and that brings us to our next guest, right? Our next interview, Tyler Johnson. I mean, this is a guy that, he's won before. And when a guy has won before, you soak it up like a sponge. And that's exactly what he said. And he said the Utah Mammoth kind of remind him a little bit of, his times in Tampa when they grew up as young players. And then all of a sudden the general manager started adding those key pieces to the foundation of that young core, right? And that is what propelled them to Stanley Cup 1 and then Stanley Cup 2, which Tyler Johnson was a part of both of those. So I'm excited for all you guys to listen to this interview. Tyler was amazing, so insightful, so thoughtful, and this guy always has a smile on his face, and you can see why. The career he had, unreal in the locker room, unreal player on the ice.
All right, folks, I can't believe it. I'm here with one of my good buddies, Tyler Johnson. Can you believe how they treat me? I mean, zero respect, absolute abuse.
That was an unreal intro. I loved it.
I know. I'm doing the camera. I'm fixing the iPad here. We're in your wine cellar here at the ranch, at the Goat Ranch.
It's not mine, but it's ours.
Yeah, it's yours, but I'm wondering where your locker is in here. Folks, this guy has a stash in here. They don't let me bring my box wine in here, but with Tyler, he has got a setup like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I don't know about that. There's a few balls in here. I think there's some better ones out here, though.
Yeah, I think so. Folks, Tyler Johnson.
Well, let's not bury the lead. Tyler, congrats on your retirement and a hell of a career. Championships at every level of your hockey career, and hanging up the skates, but wow, what a ride! What's it feel like to be done playing pro hockey and now to be on the other side of it?
Hey, thanks. Yeah, it feels great. I mean, obviously, I had a great career. I mean, if you would have told me I was able to accomplish that when I was a kid, I would have told you that you're dreaming. So, no, it's been a lot of fun. It feels a little bit more relaxing now. I get to have a little bit more fun with this guy. Hopefully get the golf game a little bit better, but we're working on it.
Me or you? No, me.
We both need it.
Well, I just want to say again, this guy always smiles, right? Every time you see him around property, he's got a grinning smile ear to ear. I know why. Back-to-back Stanley Cups, won a Memorial Cup. He didn't win 3 Folts like I did, but he also has the Calder Cup as well. So, and he got married last summer. I was a part of that, one of the most beautiful weddings I've ever seen, and he's another overachiever, folks. He married an absolute rocket. So that's why this guy smiles like he does.
And it's also, I get to see his Fu Manchu all the time, so I'm happy about that.
Where you guys are at, like, is anybody else rocking any facial hair like that? I mean, it's a respectable area, right? And you've got Nasher walking around with these handlebars on his face. Like, do they let him into restaurants and stuff?
I mean, if they didn't know who he was, I think they'd kick him out. But it's Nasher. You got to let him do it. So
they're just glad it makes my nose look smaller.
I don't think it does, though.
No, it's not working. But folks, I got to tell you a quick story here. So his wife throws him a retirement party, surprise party, right? So you should have seen the guest list. I mean, it was unbelievable. So Wayne Gretzky, I had him as a coach, right? This is a guy who actually ended up ending my career. It was probably time for me, but he ended my career. I'm crying on his mahogany desk, right? So that was the end of my career. That was my retirement. Well, you walk in the door and Wayne Gretzky, I think we got a picture of it.
I'm lucky being here and living here. There's so many great hockey guys. Like Ray Whitney was there. Ray Whitney is Spokane Chief. I always looked up to him. Unbelievable player. Finally got to meet him as I got older, and now you get to see him on a daily basis. And obviously Wayne, you have Kelly Chase, you have Tyson Nash. I mean, we got it all right now. You know, that's a big group. So it's a lot of fun. And but no, I had no idea. It was awesome that I was able to come. I had a really cool picture that when I was a baby.
So cool.
Yeah. So when I was a baby, my grandpa actually got me a little stick that Wayne Gretzky signed. So I had that, and at my retirement thing, I had Gretzky sign that picture, and it was a pretty cool moment.
Oh, that's incredible. Was that Colby Armstrong in there too?
No, Brendan Morrow was in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's the crew.
Chaser on the right.
That's a dangerous crew right there. Bad day to be a bottle of wine.
But hey, folks, when you have a career like Tyler had, can we show that picture again? Let's pop that up again. This is his backyard, buddy. This is his backyard. It is the best view, honestly, I have ever seen. That's his pool. He's got a hot tub right next to it, a fire pit. I mean, this guy has done it all. So, and you've seen the resume, so you know what? It's pretty special, Tyler.
Yeah, no, I love being up here. I mean, it's my home. I grew up here, so it's always been great. And then obviously having these guys around makes it a lot of fun.
Well, I got to go back, folks. I'll jump in here quick. Spokane Chief, you touched on it. I played in Kamloops. The Chiefs were, I mean, they were a machine. They were an absolute machine. I just want to know how you got into hockey, kind of what made you fall in love with the game.
Yeah, so actually my mom learned to skate. So I had a pair of skates before I was born. Probably was a good thing I actually ended up liking hockey because that could have been a miserable childhood. But so I was always on the ice. My dad coached hockey. My grandpa coached. So I kind of had a family influence right away, all the way up until about juniors, I guess. I always had, a parent or grandparent coach me. But yeah, just always had them.
I read somewhere, Tyler, that your parents, is it Ken and Debbie? They met at a rec game at Spokane Ice Arena. Is that true?
Yeah. So actually, it's super funny. They were actually on the same rec league hockey team, but it wasn't until their end of the year party that they're at a bar where my dad figured out that was actually my mom, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're teammates!" They just started talking and had no idea that they went all year being teammates, and then they end up dating and married and stuff. But yeah, it took them a long time. But yeah, they met playing hockey, which is pretty cool. My dad likes to say he scored the most goals, and my mom had the most assists. So they were on the same line the entire time. It's kind of crazy.
Again, back to the Spokane Chiefs. Fascinated with them. Ray Whitney's a good friend of both of ours. He's been on the show, of course, but another small guy, right? I know you're not a big guy. You defeated all the odds, but did you watch a guy like Ray Whitney growing up? I know that's probably another thing. I know for me, I grew up in Sherwood Park. We didn't have a WHL team. We had I think they were a junior B team, and it was called the Crusaders. But I used to go to those games and just be fascinated. I try to pick out a player and try to emulate them on the ice, and Ray must have been a pretty darn good one for you.
Yeah, so when Ray was playing for the Chiefs, though, I was 1 year old, so it was a little bit...
Sorry, Ray.
Sorry, Ray.
That away, Nasher.
Oh, whoops.
Dash one.
Green jacket already.
But I got to see him in the NHL a lot, so I got to watch him. He was obviously a great player. My parents obviously told me a lot of stories about him. Bobby Brett's the owner of the Chiefs, and when I was growing up, he always kind of compared me to Ray Whitney, just because we were smaller and everything. So I knew.
There you go. I knew you watched them at some point.
Yeah, I knew
Do you have a home of sign outside of Spokane yet, Tyler? Like when you're driving into Spokane, you see Spokane, Washington, home of, and then your name. Do you have one of those yet, or no?
No, not Spokane. So I actually was growing up in Liberty Lake, and there was 5 5 years they had it on the sign or something, but I actually have no idea what happened to that sign. It's not there anymore. So.
It's in his basement.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did have one at
Yeah.
some point. That's unbelievable. What's the hockey scene like in Spokane? Because we have Kyler Yamamoto, right, who is a Spokane, Washington guy. So what's the scene like there?
So it's grown quite a bit. So Kyler was another guy that my mom learned to skate too. So I've known Kyler since he was about a year old. His brother, we taught how to skate as well. His sister went to school with me, so we're really close with the families. And I think that's what kind of makes Spokane hockey pretty special is everyone's really close. I mean, if there's ever anything you need to do in Spokane, Coeur d'Alene area, I know some hockey family that has some business that does this or that. And as soon as you bring up hockey, it's like, all right, we're going to help each other. It's a pretty special little thing to be a part of. And as far as like the players and stuff, I mean, we have, 3 NHL guys from Spokane. So that's a pretty good resume for being a smaller town, for sure.
And Folta, I got a chance to play golf with this guy the other night at the big cancer event that we were involved with. You were involved with it also. And I know you played a ton of golf with him as well. But how about Mark Rippon? Mark Rippon, this guy, he's born in Calgary. So Spokane can't take that away from the Canadians. But he grew up in Spokane. I know you guys are super tight. Huge fan of yours. All day we golfed. All he talked about, a lot of stories were about you and just he won a Super Bowl. He was an MVP. You won 2 Stanley Cups, so you have obviously the bragging rights there.
Yeah, he's an unreal guy. He actually he learned how to skate through my mom too.
He can skate?
Yeah, they have an adult rec league skating class that my mom ran back in the day, and I remember seeing him on skates. He is a big dude, like
sausage fingers too.
Like he's bigger than a lot of the NHL guys, and like he was scary because he can get going. It was the stopping that was kind of his issue, so it was a little bit of a
mine too.
But he also owned one of the ice rinks that I grew up at. My parents were managers of it, so I been great friends with him forever, and he's always been a big supporter and just an awesome guy to be around.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we got to get into your career a little bit too. I know, you won the Mem Cup, right? You won the championship with your hometown team. You won in the AHL. You won the 2 Stanley Cups as well. But I want to start with your rookie pro year in Norfolk. Did you guys win 28 games that year?
20
in a row?
Yeah, could have been more, but the season ended, so we had to start playoffs, so it didn't count.
Because I believe that's still like a pro hockey record, like across different leagues. Games 26, 27, and 28. What was it like in the room before those games? Like you guys had to have been just on cloud 9.
Yeah, I mean, when we were going through that, honestly, I think the most nerve-wracking time was like game 11, 12, 13. Because I think at the time the record was 17, I think is what it was. And I remember it was game 7. I think it was 17. We were playing against Raleigh, Carolina's farm team there, and in Charleston. And that was probably the only night that Coop had like a curfew. We had to be back in our rooms at like 9 p.m. And that was probably the only time that he actually ever cared about us. Because like otherwise, they're like, what the heck? Like,
was Coop in?
What you like, huh?
Coop in? No chance.
Coop was sitting in the hotel lobby because it was like a big deal, right? We were trying to figure this out. But once we won that, I mean, the rest of the games, in all honesty, we didn't even think about it. We went into every game. Coop always says we're always like 1 up. We might have been 2 goals up before we started every game. Like it was just, you knew you were going to win. Like team would score in the first like 20 seconds or whatever. And we're like, who cares? We'll come back. Like we just, our team was special. We were pretty good.
That's what happens, folks, when you win. Right? It doesn't matter at what level. You don't necessarily have to win at the Stanley Cup level. You can win in junior, the Calder Cup, like you've done. But I want to go back because I love the underdog stories, right? I love the undrafted guys, which Tyler was. I mean, his story is absolutely incredible. Anytime I see him on property, I want to know more, right? That's my favorite part of this job is doing the research on the guys. Clearly, I didn't do enough research on my first question. But talk about the underdog story. You're undrafted. the points you put up, you won a Mem Cup, you're a massive factor in winning that cup, but you didn't get drafted. You got passed over. I mean, did you literally have to knock down the door?
Yeah, but I also didn't really think about it. You know, for me, it was just I wanted to play hockey. I just could do whatever I could. And I always say you need one guy to believe in you. And luckily for me, I always had one guy along the way. And the first one was Tim Spells, the GM of the Chiefs. He signed me into that deal. I think I got drafted in the 11th round in juniors. And there was actually teams passing on picks saying, no, we don't want to pick anybody. So then they picked me. So I got that. Then the next week, they actually dropped me because I broke my collarbone. So then I was getting letters from like the Q and you know, just come to camp or whatever. Ended up, you know, staying with the Chiefs, having, you know, the career that I had and being there was unbelievable. They taught me everything I know. And then, yeah, just playing the NHL contracts. I went to, actually, it's funny, I went to Phoenix right after he was done, and Wayne was the coach. And I've asked Wayne before, I was like, hey, do you remember me? Because I went to rookie camp and then got invited to main camp. And he just looks at me and he goes, no idea. Like, had no idea I was there. Whoops. I thought I had a great camp. I mean, being not even supposed to be at main camp, I was one of the few that actually made it. Doesn't remember me. But then he admitted that he was a horrible coach. Great player, horrible coach. So it kind of makes me feel a little bit better. No comment. He made some good moves. Yeah. Retirement.
So you hear from some undrafted guys, and they say it was actually a blessing to be undrafted because it lit a fire under them. And when you're coming out of juniors or coming out of school, you maybe have more options to join a team compared to being drafted by one team. Did you have other options besides Tampa Bay, or were they the only team that came calling when you were done in Spokane?
No, I truly believe I was so lucky I was undrafted because a lot of guys that get drafted, like you said, you get forced on one team. Maybe you don't get the contract. Maybe get buried a little bit. But for me, I had a great 20-year-old year for the Chiefs, and I don't even know how. Like, no team wanted me before, and then all of a sudden I think it was 14 different offers, and they were all max deals, like first-rounder deals, which is insane. So it was
Back the brake truck up. Now you know why his backyard looks like it does.
well. Yeah, I don't know. It was crazy though. Like I just remember throughout the year, because I think in March is when you can sign. You can start talking to teams in February or something like that. And I remember my phone was going off all the time with different teams, talking to GM, scouts, doing all these different things. And I remember sitting there and being like, literally last year, I think I had one team offer me a tryout, and that was Minnesota Wild. They actually were going to sign me to an AHL deal. I went to their camp, not thinking I was going to ever come back to the Chiefs my 20-year-old year, but I actually hurt my AC joint in like the first game. So they took the contract away and said, hey, just go play your 20-year-old year. So it's amazing how things work out. I was pretty lucky for everything to kind of fall in place. And I got to pick Tampa, which I didn't know anything about it, but it just felt right. And, look at me now, I guess.
Everything happens for a reason, clearly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for me, it was fuel to the fire. It sounds like for you, it wasn't. You just had a belief, right, in yourself, in your ability. You just wanted to keep playing. You just wanted maybe a longer runway so you could actually show what you could do at the pro level. And then, obviously, Norfolk, the numbers you put up, and then you end up in Tampa. How did that all play out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was like fuel, because I didn't really say like, oh, screw these guys for not believing in me. But I just wanted to keep playing and having fun. I remember going into my 20-year-old year, I was actually thinking about not playing and just going to school, because I was like, I'm going to be a 21-year-old rookie at some school, and that's just not going to be or a 21-year-old freshman, at some school, and it's not going to be very fun for me. But my dad actually talked me into it, so I just had fun that year. So that's kind of like how that happened. But no, it was great. Went into Norfolk. We had the most incredible team, old guys, young guys. Got to get brought up together. Ended up going to Tampa. When we got called up, when I was up, I think we had 8 guys from our AHL team all called up at the same time. And then Coop later got the job as well. So it was basically our AHL team just became our NHL team, which was a pretty special thing to be a part of.
Talk about your relationship with Coop. Obviously, it helped. He saw what you were all about, right, at the American Hockey League level. So he gets the NHL job. It's a no-brainer, right, to bring you on board and obviously put you on and with some pretty darn good players in Tampa.
Yeah, he's a great coach. He's a great guy. We're super close. We still talk all the time, and he's one of those guys that he's not. It's weird. He's a hard coach for sure. People don't really see that. They kind of see him being the laid back, cool guy, funny, whatever, that charismatic. He can lay into you. Like, so there's times where I've been in tears because of him. But at the end of the day, he
laid into me on the golf course, folks, when I didn't make a putt. He was like, "You're I can't do that here."
Right. He is awesome. I love our relationship. He's a guy that, as our team kind of grew up and got older, he kind of laid off a little bit and just kind of let the team coach ourselves. I mean, when we were winning cups, we had intermissions where Coop wouldn't even come into the room just because he knew, we knew what we were going to do. We knew what we were going to say. We had so many leaders that, quite frankly, didn't have to do much, but he brought us to that point, and now is, that's his big thing.
Did you see him transform at all from coaching in the AHL to coaching eventually Stanley Cup winning teams? Because that was another loaded team you guys had in Norfolk. I mean, you go down the list, you see names like Palat and Radko Gudas and so on and so forth. But did you notice a difference as you were under him more years?
For sure. I mean, I think at the start it was a lot more coaching to try to get more out of you, as really just telling you exactly what you have to do. But once he got to the NHL level, it's really hard to tell Martin St. Louis what to do. I mean, let's be honest.
He's making more than the coach,
and he's gonna know more than you probably too, right? He's a pretty dang good player. So I think Coop, what makes him so special as a coach, he listens to the players. So guys can go and talk to him, and you talk it out instead of, "Hey, you have to do this." He goes, "Hey, why did you do this? Why don't you do this?" And you talk it out. And he's not afraid to say, "Okay, you're right. I'm wrong. We're going to do it this way." And I think that's great, because once you get to the NHL, there's a lot of good players, a lot of smart guys. You kind of need everyone to be together. And I think that really helped us.
Okay, let's talk this one out, Foltz. I mean, his numbers in Tampa, you had some good years, you had some decent years, and then you absolutely pop off. So what kind of clicked for you? I know you played with some really good players, but for you, that internal confidence, what was it that kind of triggered that year? You had 72 points in 77 games, 29 goals, Foltz. Not off the charts.
Yeah, I think you touched on it, playing with good players. We're in a good system. I think that year, things just kind of clicked. I remember there was games we get done, and I'd be like, I didn't play very well, but I had 4 assists or something. It's I didn't really do a whole lot, or it didn't feel like I did, but it just works that way. We ended up making to the Stanley Cup Finals that year against Chicago, lost to them, which was incredible because everyone thought maybe we were going to make one round. We never really had any high hopes. I mean, we had some good players on that team, but if you were to compare the teams that we won with to that team, it's night and day, the difference. It's pretty extraordinary. So everything just kind of went the right way, and we had a lot of guys that battled.
Well, you led the playoffs in goal scoring that year in the playoff run. Then, like you said, you lose to Chicago. Did you know then that you were going to get back to the finals eventually? Was there that belief, or was that really hard for you guys to come so close and come up short?
Well, I think we had that belief, but it's so hard to say because, there's only 2 teams that make the finals. There's only 1 team that wins. I always say every single team goes into camp saying, "Oh, this is our year. We're going to win the cup," right? So you never really know. You have to have a lot of things go your way. But I think for us, when we looked at that team, we're we have a lot of ways we can improve as a team. We have a lot of young guys. We knew we were going to bring in some different players that I think were going to help us. And so I thought that we were going to get back there. And I think the next year we made conference finals. And we lost. Then the next year after that was, I I think it was conference finals again. I think we had Washington, Pittsburgh both those years, and both times those two teams won the cup. So we're like, shoot, we keep losing against the teams that are winning. We're just right there. And then I think we missed playoffs the next year. We had a ton of injuries, but no. So I think we always knew we were going to get back there. It was just a matter of time, and you have to get a little luck along the way as well.
I noticed how you cut off the timeline right before you got to the Columbus series. I think the sweep, the President's Trophy sweep.
Well, I was to be quite honest with you. Like we had an unbelievable regular season, but going into the playoffs, I think we all kind of felt like this isn't right. We're not playing very well. We were playing the wrong way for sure, and we knew that. We knew we weren't playing playoff hockey. So I think we're a little bit worried there going into that series. And then Columbus, I mean, right before the trade deadline, I go, oh gosh, this team's going to be a problem because they got like 4 different pickups. Like they're going for it, and they're out of the playoffs somehow. So they literally were fighting for their fighting for their playoff life the entire time. Well, we're just kind of going for points and things. Like it wasn't great. So I wasn't shocked at what happened. Probably a sweep is a little shocking, but I would have liked their team to be playing a lot better leading up to that point.
Some of the guys you played with, though, I mean, I compare it to the Edmonton Oilers in the 80s. You guys were kind of all young, right? At the same time, growing up, you were in Tampa for, 9 years? And, then I played for the Blues. I mean, we had Pavel Demitra, we had Doug Wade, we had Keith Tkachuk, we had Chris Pronger, we had Al McInnes. I mean, you guys had Kucherov, Hedman, Stamkos, Sergachev. I mean, these are some serious, legit players. But what, in your mind, were some of the key ingredients that finally did get you guys over the top?
Well, I think one thing that Steve Yzerman does a really good job of, obviously he's a very smart hockey mind, but he brought in a lot of older veteran players that just really taught us how to do everything. We always joked we were basically New York Rangers, like farm system, or they're ours, because all the Rangers came to our team. So we had, Boyle, Strawman, McDonough, Callahan, like these guys are just unbelievable people, unbelievable leaders that came and just kind of taught us everything. So I think that was the biggest thing for us is we had a lot of talent for young guys, but then we had these guys that were older that were able to really teach us and kind of just, not even on the ice, but off the ice of being a professional and what you need to do. And I thought that was probably the biggest thing.
I want to hear about a young Nikita Kucherov, because that was when you had some of your most productive years, right? You're on that triplet line with him, and his first season was a little quiet his rookie year, and then he just starts escalating, and now he's one of the best players on the face of the planet. But when he first came in, like, was he one of these Russians that was kind of shy and kept to himself? Was he loud and boisterous? I mean, what was his personality like?
Definitely shy. He talked to Plot and I all the time because we were, line mates, and we spent a lot of time together. But he was a guy that he's not going to be outspoken. He's not going to yell at guys on the team. He's not going to, say much in video or whatever. But while we were on the bench, I thought that what made us really special is after every shift, we were able to talk about, where do you want me? What do you want this? Like, we talked everything out. And I think that's what really helped us, is we knew where everyone was going to be at all the time, because over the course of the season, we just kind of learned that, everyone's tendencies. And then with him, though, he's such a hard worker. He's on the ice all the time, doing all this different skill stuff, watching tons of video. He's a guy that, he puts his entire life into hockey, and you can see it. I mean, he's a heck of a player. He's fun to watch. He does things on the ice that I really don't understand. He sees everything. Like, you could probably play blindfolded, and he'd be better than half the guys in the league. He's pretty special.
Well, another guy that you played with, for not as long, but Sergachev. He's now in Utah. He's with the Mammoth. I mean, did you picture this guy being this good?
As soon as we got Sergey for that Durant trade, I knew it was going to be really good. He was on the ice. His shots, unbelievable. His skill, I mean, just the way that he is as a defenseman, being skilled, I would say he's probably the most skilled D-man I've ever played with, just because he can do anything. So,
I with a guy named Hedman, too. That's saying something. So, he was raving about him the other day. He was showing me videos. He's tough, too. I'm like, we haven't seen it yet, but I know, I saw the videos, folks.
Yeah, no, he's a tough guy. He's a great player. Obviously, Hetty's unbelievable, world class too, but they play a different style. Hetty's more of his skating, being positionally sound, that kind of thing. He has a bolt of a shot. But Sergey, his lance, he loves to dance at the blue line. When he was younger, he used to always get in trouble because he'd be the last guy up there trying to deke two guys. And, most of the time it works out, but every once in a while, Coop would have to get after him. But no, I think you guys are in good hands there.
I know you didn't play in Utah last year, so you didn't see the Utah Hockey Club, now the Mammoth. But what are your thoughts? I know you know a lot of the players on that roster. Where do you think Utah's at, and how far away from the playoffs do you think they are?
Well, that's a tough question. I think the hard-hitting questions.
Got him cornered. Got him cornered in the basement.
I know. I have to watch.
Crack a bottle of wine down here.
Let's do it. It's cold down.
I know. I can tell. Many nipple covers for the guy.
But no, Utah. I think a lot of guys were excited to go there. I mean, it's a new city. I think a lot of players that went there, I think, really like it. I mean, you can have some really cool houses and some land to live at, and just kind of get away from some of the bigger cities in a way. And then as far as the team goes, I mean, tons of skill. You guys have a lot of skill. We talked about it a little bit that I'd like to see maybe a little bit more toughness, but at the same time, I think you guys brought in some good D-men last year. That's going to be really beneficial. If I was to make a team, I think you have to start on the blue line. That was our biggest thing. I think we had 60. I think our shortest guy was like 6'4".
Coop likes. He said.
So, I mean, it helps. It really does. And that's coming from a short guy, so I hate to admit that, but that's why I play forward as well. But no, I think you guys are closer than not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Another guy you played with, Sorelli, he was in one of those fights, right? The Four Nations fights right off the face-off. Was that? Or no, that was Hagel. That was Hagel, I guess.
Hagel, yeah. I played with him a bit too.
Well, what did you make of all that? And obviously there was the Florida Tampa rivalry that was kind of embedded in Hagel's fight with was that with Matthew Tkachuk then? I believe it was.
Yeah.
Should have watched the video before this. Holy.
Yeah, now I'm throwing it at you, buddy. I'm not the only one. I love it.
I know. We're in trouble here. But can you tell us a little bit about the Florida Tampa rivalry that's developed as these two teams have really accelerated their paths of success? And then I want to know specifically what you thought of Hagel's scrap there, because that made some hockey waves.
Yeah, so Hagel's scrap I think was great. I think that's awesome for hockey in general, playing U.S. and Canada. I mean, I don't think we've ever had that many headlines, right? It was everywhere once that happened. So,
are you guys ever gonna win again? Like, come on! I want to see the sequel to the miracle. Oh wait!
They'll make a movie about it. When we do, they'll make a movie.
That wasn't even the Olympics. That was exhibition.
I know. Well, you guys thought you won the Olympic World Championships. Oh wait!
No, so it was great, and I think it's awesome that now they're able to play in the Olympics. And we had so many years that every year they'd go, "Oh yeah, we're going to be in it," and then just never do. And I think that was always one of the things I wish I could have been able to do at some point, is probably try to play for that Olympic team. But, never really had that opportunity, because I think the first and only Olympics that they were able to do was the year after my rookie year. So it probably wasn't on the radar then. But so that was cool. And then that whole Tampa-Florida rivalry, I think is great. When I first got in the league, Florida was absolutely awful. So we used to go in there and just kick the shit all the time. So it's fun that they got better. Like, you saw them grow as the years went. When we went to the finals, the second year we played them in that first round. And I don't know who did our scheduling or whatever it was, but we finished the year playing, I think it was 3 games in a row. And then we had to start the series too. So it was absolutely war before we even started. I mean, we had guys breaking bones the last game of the season because they were fighting. And it was a little different. But, that series we played against them, it was so much fun. It was that's how hockey should have been played. Like, that was the hardest series I think I've ever played in my entire life. And that was a first round matchup. So it was crazy. But to see them have the success, Obviously, I'm not playing against them anymore, so I don't care too much. But I think Tampa will get back up there.
Florida definitely the model, right? But you guys were the model. Back-to-back cups for you guys. I mean, that was impressive, right? Florida just did it. What kind of toll does that take on your body? You played 116 games, and I call it you double it, right? You might triple it, right? As far as regular season games compared to playoff games. But how was the body, and what kind of toll did it take on you guys?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing. I don't know why playoff games don't count for actual games. It makes no sense. They're way tougher. But no, when we're going to the finals and going to conference finals and everything, you get a short summer, your body's beat up. I think that's why when we missed the playoffs the one year, obviously you're upset that you missed the playoffs, but we kind of said it's kind of nice to have a year of relaxation and kind of get your health back and everything. But no, it definitely, that's why winning 2 years in a row is super impressive, because you don't get to train. I mean, you get a month basically, and then you're going right back at it. So it's wild. But yeah, my body's pretty good. I have an artificial disc in the neck, but besides that, I feel pretty good.
Ran 9 miles before this interview, by the way. I mean,
yeah, I'm training to do a marathon just because I told myself I would never do one. I absolutely hate running. It's like the worst thing in the world. So I just want to do one of them just to say I did it, and then I'll never do it again.
Topless.
Get the 26.2 bumper sticker.
Can't do that.
He runs topless around here. I mean, it's not even fair to the rest of us.
Can't do that.
Well, that neck injury that took you out a lot of the season from a couple years ago. Is it safe to say that was one of the harder things you've had to overcome in your hockey career, that specific injury?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but if I'm being honest, I wish I would have done the surgery like 3 years before that, because that's actually when it got hurt. And I just kind of felt like, oh, it's always going to be that way. Like I couldn't sleep on my stomach. I couldn't turn my neck certain ways. I'd go into games and I'd feel like I had like a collar on my neck because I'd have to turn like this. So it was different because I just was trying to maintain it and try to make it okay. But if I would have had the surgery, I feel 1,000 times better now than I did before then. So I kind of wish I would have done it earlier.
Folta, I never had a neck injury, but I had to play my whole career with a piano on my ass. So, so I kind of know how he feels.
Well, you were with Chicago right after Tampa. What was that like to two very different situations, the time you were in Chicago and then obviously coming from the Cups in Tampa? That change of speed, how did you have to adjust to that? And the team really getting younger towards the end of your tenure there with the Blackhawks.
Yeah, it was a little unfortunate on the timing for me to go there, because when I first went there the first year, we were actually supposed to be pretty good. And when you look at the team on paper, we had a lot of good things going for us. But we got off to a slow start. There's probably a few reasons for that, but yeah. Anyways, and then all of a sudden, the big news came out with Chicago. Changed a lot of the culture there with different guys, having to get rid of certain people in the front office, and a lot of media that, quite frankly, I thought was kind of crazy. I mean, I remember there was questions being asked to some of our 19-year-olds on like how they felt about it. And I was like, they were 12 at the time when that happened. Like, I don't know why they're having to answer these questions. So a lot of things changed, and good for them. They wanted to go younger, and they have a lot of good young guys, so that's nice. But for me, going into Chicago, I thought we were going to win right away. We had a really good team, and then it just flip a 180 right away. So that was a little disappointing. But no, it was fun being there. I mean, original six team, the fans are incredible. I mean, I was lucky enough to play in the Stanley Cup Finals against them, and you can hear that crowd. I mean, I don't know if there's a louder stadium or atmosphere. Oh, it just gives you chills. Yeah, it's really cool. So I was lucky to be able to do that at least.
You had two great cities, Tampa and Chicago. Like, come on.
Even as a broadcaster, Foltz, when you're up there listening to that anthem, and that big dude, he's a monster of a human, just belting it out. But again, I want to get back to you. It had to have been tough for you, right? I mean, you played as a young guy. You obviously had a mentor. Who was that? But how difficult was that, or were you ready for being in that mentorship role?
Yeah, I mean, you want to win, but I also just want to be a good teammate. So I love being with everybody. Hopefully I can help, whoever was around there. I still talk to a lot of the guys to this day. So it was fun. It was different, but it was kind of cool to be a part of. I mean, when I was in Tampa my last couple of years, I felt like I was kind of doing that too. I mean, I had Sorelli and Joseph living with me for pretty much the whole year. So I was like big brother or dad, depending on the day how I felt. But I'm going to throw them in the room every once in a while. But yeah, no. So it's fun. You get to have that. And it was a good experience.
Who was that guy for you? Metro.
Shoot. I mean,
probably so many.
Yeah. So that was the thing, is we had so many good guys on our team. So like I remember Callahan coming in, he kind of changed the culture of how we did things. Brian Boyle, I think, was one of the nicest guys I've ever played with. I mean, I would go to dinner with him and we'd just sit there and talk for hours. He was unbelievable. So Strawman was another guy that, it's incredible to watch. He was a guy that sacrificed every single thing. Like he blocked every puck. You looked at his body, he did bruise really easy, but his whole body was lacking of the entire season. It was incredible. So we had a lot of guys. I was lucky.
What's next? What's next for you? TV, maybe. I talked to you the other day. This guy's built for TV, man. Resume to boot.
I don't know about that. You guys have too tough of a job. But no, I don't know.
No, we don't.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll see. Right now, I just kind of want to relax a little bit and doing some charity work, so that'll be fun, but we'll see.
What do you think you'll miss most about the game?
I think just being with the guys. I think that's the greatest thing. I mean, when you're in those locker rooms, the hotel rooms, I mean, sometimes those plane rides and stuff, they get so like old and tiring, but at the same time you look back and be like, oh, I remember that one night that, whatever it may be. And I think that's what I'm going to miss the most.
And nobody really understands it, right? I mean, you try to explain it to people that have never played, and a lot of times it just kind of gets lost. But
for sure,
we just kind of know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's me. I miss the showers, right?
Oh.
I always took a cold shower, apparently, but I miss all the conversations, right? The bus, the planes, the hotels, the dinners. Is what I miss most. Going out before the game, glass of wine, big fat steak, talking about stories, and just busted balls.
Yeah, I mean, did you guys have stoves? You guys call it that?
Hot stoves?
Hot stoves. Oh, yeah. Like, you get it.
I'm not that old.
I don't know. You get it at like 3 a.m. and then just go into someone's room and there's, 15 guys in a room and you just have a couple of beers. You have the next day off and you just, sit there and all of a sudden you look at your watch and it's 8 a.m. and you're like, oh crap, I better go to bed. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff I think I'll miss the most.
This has been awesome, Tyler. Thanks for doing this. I got one more on my end for you, and that's kind of along the lines of what you guys were just saying. But during those cup runs with Tampa, like, were you guys the type of group that would all go out and have dinner and have a couple beers and have that hot stove, or were guys kind of more dialed in, I guess, and more health conscious and all that stuff, and not staying away from the pops and stuff like that?
No, we played hard and we got after it. In Tampa, we had a lot of guys that were just awesome players, awesome people.
That's what makes it win.
We were so close, and living in Tampa was awesome too because within like a mile of my house, I think we had like 10 guys that lived there, so you could walk to everyone's house. We had sweet parties that people like Hedman had this unreal spot right on the water that we'd have barbecues at all the time. McDonough, Stammer always had barbecues. And I think that just brought everyone together. Like, we weren't the team that's going to clubs and bars and things like that, but we were more like the house parties where we're all together, our wives are together. And that was fun. And I think that's a little different now. I think a lot of the young guys are a lot more dialed, and I think that's probably why they're a lot more skilled than us too, but they're definitely not fun.
Well, that's all I got for you, buddy. Welcome to the other side, dude. Almost 750 games for this guy. 427 points.
I don't even know.
I don't trust you. Wikipedia. They're different on everyone, but welcome to the other side. Don't be offended if you find me in that pool later in the backyard.
Anytime.
Or maybe the hot tub as my bidet, but thank you for doing this. Really.
Anytime.
Tyler, not all retired guys have to have the Fu Manchu. That's just a Tyson thing.
You'll never see me like that. I can guarantee it.
That's good though. I put the gray in. Put the gray in.
He's trying to tell me huge touch of gray. I don't believe him.
No chance. No
And
chance.
that's what I missed, Foltz. I missed the ball busting, right? I went on leash jogging at the broadcast booth this year, buddy. So just don't get
That's
hit.
great.
No side profiles. We're gonna crack one of my box wines here, Foltz. See you later, buddy.
Oh, okay. No Camus.
Yeah.
Wow, what an interview, Foltz. Again, I hope you get a chance. If you haven't, if you're just listening to this, you got to watch it. You want to talk about an underdog story. This is a guy that went to the Phoenix Coyotes at the time. Wayne Gretzky was the coach, went to training camp, and to this day, Wayne Gretzky had no idea that Tyler Johnson was even there, right? But he kept knocking on the door. In fact, it took him literally breaking down the door to finally get himself into the National Hockey League. Again, undrafted. I love those stories, unsung hero types. This guy's story was absolutely outstanding. The points he put up, back-to-back cups, Foltz, that was a beauty.
He wasn't afraid to call out Wayne as a coach too. I love that. I love that part. And honestly, like I remember Tyler Johnson from the cup runs. Like I forgot until doing prep for the interview just how many points, how productive he was his first few seasons in the league. And he was one of those Lightning guys that during their cup runs, it was him and a bunch of other forwards that kind of took a little bit lesser role offensively so that other guys could move up in the lineup and they could have a really deep forward unit. Guys like him, Hagel was a guy who was hugely impactful. Sorelli on that third line. Like they had so many guys that played their role to perfection, and it wasn't about the points. And Tyler Johnson got his points early in the career, and then in those cup runs was doing all the little things and helping his team win in maybe a bit of a smaller offensive role when guys like Stamkos and Kucherov are taking over. So it was great to talk to him.
And isn't it fascinating? And when you look at every team, right? Every team that won a Stanley Cup, and there's probably 90% of the times there's that story, right? It's not always about the superstars, and the superstars will tell you that we cancel each other out. So then it becomes up to our third line and fourth line to score some ugly goals, some series changing goals, right? And I think that's the beauty of, the Utah Mammoth, that they do have those pieces outside of Clayton Keller and outside of Nick Schmaltz, right? The Kerfoots, the Lawson Krauses, the McBains, those guys are going to be impactful players if they can ever get to the playoffs, right? Because that's what it comes down to. You look at Detroit. It wasn't always about Fedorov and Yzerman. It was a lot of times. It was about Malpe. It was about Draper. It was about Thomas Holmstrom. It was about, just kind of the unsung hero guys, the lunch bucket guys that punch the clock every day. So you love, those are feel-good stories. And Tyler Johnson, to your point, Foltz, was a big part in that way for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Another great episode, Tyson. Just stay dry out there. Don't want I keep hearing wave. Like I don't want like big like tsunami wave or some
I better get my water wings on. I only have my class 1 swimming lesson. So
just get some floaties or something so we don't have to worry about it.
I swim like a rock. I swim like a rock, Foltz. So great show, buddy. As always.
Floats, right?
Carrying me. Oh yeah. I can always stick the nose above water and catch air somewhere. Right. So great job, buddy. As always.
Great stuff. Yep. We'll see everybody next week. And don't forget to follow us on social, Nashcast Official on Instagram and Nashcast X on Twitter and X. So follow along for all that content. I believe there's a great reel of Tyson of you going through the gauntlet and getting lit up by some kids. So that was that was
thanks to you. Oh yeah. I'm still icing the shoulders down right now. I was concussed.
All right. Great stuff. We'll see everybody next week.